My name is Martha Agbani, the Executive Director of Lokiaka Community Development Center, Port Harcourt. The documentary you're about to watch is a reminiscence of the Ogoni struggle, especially the role the women played under the aegis of Federation of Ogoni Women Association, FOWA, to ensure that the non-violent struggle for environmental justice and political autonomy of the Ogoni people was actualized and brought to the international fore as we have today. They were the inspiration behind the Ogoni struggle with their songs and all that. Women led Ogoni struggle to where it is today. But we are afraid that their role has been forgotten. More so that we have different intervention agencies working in the Niger Delta without having a recourse to the Ogoni struggle, especially the role women played. Women have been neglected, and this we want to bring back to limelight. Ogoni women suffered tremendously. Most of them were raped. Their children were killed. They had their husbands arrested and killed. We have the women, the widows of the Ogoni 9 and the Ogoni 13, still suffering till date. They cannot live what their experiences have been behind. And we are looking at a situation where the government of Nigeria has continuously militarized Ogoni environment, leaving the women in a sorry condition. Yet, when benefits are coming, women do not see themselves as part of the stakeholders to benefit from whatever environmental accruals. So this is a challenge we see, and then we need to remind the public, we need to remind the federal government of Nigeria, we need to remind the international community that the Ogoni women have been living in their struggles and in their sufferings and need to be remembered. Their livelihoods were destroyed, which is what the land speaks for. The crude oil they mine comes from the Ogoni land, and that is where women make their living from. As such, their livelihoods must be brought as a prominent and very important issue in whatever discourse they want to do in the Niger Delta and, of course, Nigeria. Thank you and happy viewing.
Aken ya Ogoni aken ile yirana koyo we asina sitam ya Ogoni sitam ile yirana koyo we asina nopa ya Ogoni nopa ile yirana koyo we asina no Beno, ya Ogoni beno,
a people's movement initiated by one of her best, Kenule Bison Sarowiwa, a playwright and environmental crusader, started its strategic mobilization in the late 1980s towards a non-violent struggle for the demand of environmental justice, economic control, adequate representation, and political participation of the Ogoni people under the aegis of the Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP, with its well-thought-out demands encapsulated in the Ogoni Bill of Rights, otherwise called the Ogoni Bible.
We are going to demand our rights peacefully, non-violently, and we shall win.
The movement brought together Ogoni men, women, and youths from all strata of life, with well-structured identities like the Council of Ogoni Traditional Rulers, National Youth Council of Ogoni People, Federation of Ogoni Women Association, National Union of Ogoni Students, Council of Ogoni Professionals, Ogoni Student Union, Ogoni Council of Churches, Ogoni Teachers Union, Committee of Ogoni Leaders of Thought, and Ogoni Central Union. The struggle became intense in the year 1993, following the federal government's directives for a military raid of Ogoni land. This led to massive arrests, community sacking, destruction of lives and properties across Ogoni land, thus turning day to night.
On behalf of the entire Ogoni land, its chiefs, people and spirits, and on behalf of the movement for the survival of the Ogoni people, MOSOP, I say welcome to our shell-shocked land.
Kenule Sarowiwa, who at the time was the spokesperson of MOSOP, was severally arrested, detained and released, and likewise his followers, by the then military head of state, General Badamosi Babangida, but became severe during the era of the late General Sani Abacha, as the general's consistent arrest of MOSOP's spokesperson and believers of the struggle continued unabated.
To take away the resources of a people and refuse to give them anything in return is to subject them to slavery. To take away the land of a people who depend solely on land for their survival and refuse to pay them compensation is to subject them to genocide.
The Ogoni people were dogged in their demands, and this strength they pulled from the motivational support and role played by the Federation of Ogoni Women Association, FOWA, the female wing of MOSOP. FOWA was always at the lead of the Ogoni protests, holding of vigils and the constant release of monumental songs to suit every circumstance the movement finds itself. As such, became a major motivator for a repressed Ogoni society. November 10th, 1995 was categorized as a black day for the Ogoni people, as Kenule Bison Sarowiwa and 8 others were gruesomely executed at the Port Harcourt prison. After a sham trial and passage of judgment, they were buried in a shallow grave at the Port Harcourt cemetery in the old Port Harcourt township area, leaving their wives, children, and relations to face unimaginable trauma associated with it.
No possibility whatsoever I or MOSOP would ever have planned any such action, and I will forever vow it, no matter what any forum decides upon. I appeal to you, my Lord, for only one thing. The Ogoni people have suffered tremendously in this country. They have made tremendous contributions. Niger Delta itself is in serious trouble. We need every assistance that we can get.
The campaign for the rights of the indigenous Ogoni people and several memoranda on the injustices the federal government of Nigeria and its joint venture company Shell has been putting them through in the cause of crude oil exploitation became clearer to the general public when an Ogoni woman was shot in her farmland in an attempt to accost Shell's third-party contractor, Wilbros Company, from bulldozing her land and destroying her crops. It was a case of direct dehumanization that left her permanently disabled. Mrs. Kara Lelu Kogbara of Biara community in the Gokana local government area, on hearing that Shell has destroyed her crops and farmland, rushed to the scene and met a sorry sight of the action.
Na be kwa kara Kogbara ya dubom Biara loki o no senator aton abe ko ubaki aki oni nokiri somdi o mon fa gidu de numbe fo na okpene boy to ba opo so no yin to pa okran ro abaro fo do mo di o sem di o mon fa gidu e ko no ko fai amonge de no akanise e be ko yi me nani iedo me no na fo ke na ro de na maja ko ra no na fo ke na ro owi ba na du de gan wo pa mi ni na to e ko akona de no aye reta nene tama ya duka bi bros ya dibalwa amfado badi umara na
on accosting them for the trespass and further destruction of her crops. She was flogged and further shot in her left arm by guard soldiers to the contracting company. Mrs. Kogbara was whisked away from the community whilst unconscious to a Shell clinic in Rumokba near Port Harcourt. She was denied access from any of her family members for about a week. Amidst these travails, her arm was amputated. She lives with a disability and survives through the assistance of family members, most especially as she has further lost 2 of her surviving children.
Nina di no ba felo no aton itebe ne ki oni no bodimi na sana editoi akura keta ko gbara editoi bambambe tuna tama efe sidaka akura ba na zika ko gbara edire paru ya zo to e kembe diduma woda kenye gboro donu mamme ba du de jaro odi na to ba fere no so ton pe tuna bama sima oton ko so ba kuru goto lo mi oyi ina bo sina be ni na du abura ro donu nemde ya be modi.
Hers was one case too many of Shell's inhumane treatment and disregard for the human rights of Ogoni people. Thus angered by the incident, Shell was pronounced persona non grata in Ogoni land.
From today onwards, Shell is declared persona non grata in Ogoni.
Madam Blessing Nodu Iyawu, widow of one of the victims of the Ogoni 9 extrajudicial murder, is today blind, and her physical state she attributes to shock from the news of the sudden hanging of her husband and others, since there were ongoing appeals for justice on behalf of the convicted environmental activists.
Na be kora Blessing Nodu Iyawu be oro kiri o sitong be anaba kamine ndegya na be ye araba kami ba utabo etako nyana na baigyange no asiga katowa teninga kami aro ofa obu aba se ep kima aba se ep.
She also says there has not been any care from succeeding governments, development and implementing institutions set out to address the Ogoni environmental challenges, to which their husbands paid dearly for, and for which such institutions have been established to address developmental and environmental challenges in Ogoni land and the Niger Delta.
Tangi de share the government base na dong amage fe ba mbodi ba dem mabogi mi mbogo yato ningoro sina tokiton age banno.
Other widows and orphans gave their own account of how the death of their breadwinner has affected them generally.
Na dom ndi menge toa koro age to montanga tinoke koro to na dom nge zali jan ki makige oro o azakoro lo a o nage yano ge na vela de jan we tane be u to kan mana wa gina tane be na dom u a koro e montanga si o pana viga me banem pa viga na ka me viga na dom me banem Pana mina relasi ka aller school. Msi do, msi oh na meba ni bagi meba ni bifona di jan. We are divya serengera ale evui. But the condition because I do magendo yana ba me anani. So didn't wanna was ga ko ma e.
Madam Jeneth B. Yorama of Dior community in Gokana local government area was met with the cruelest form of violence. She was severally raped. Her twin daughters wished away. Until date, their whereabouts unknown. Coming from an indigenous setting like Ogoni, she was denied sex by her husband following her rape till his death. Madam Jeneth, till date, still pleads that the military and Nigerian government releases the corpse of her children to her to enable her give them a befitting burial so that their souls can be put to rest.
I want to let the world to know that one of the victims come from Ogoni during the Kontimo Ogoni crisis. I want to say what I passed through. The thing that Kontimo did to me on the 25th January, if I'm not mistaken, everything I wrote is here. If you will go, we snap everything. So I'm saying what I remember, but what happened at that night, nobody knows that they are coming. Kontimo now drive because my house is along the road. And now I hear people knocking my door forcefully. I say, who be that? Say, shut up your mouth. We shut up your mouth there. If you move, I move you. I say, move, go where? You know, we will just come back here newly. Because of the crisis, we don't know that there is problem. But it affected me that night to the extent that Nigeria Army, about 4 of them came in. And they came in, all my children, these people did not know roads at that night. We were living about 5 inside. They went away with my 2 girls, Leko and Doka. They carried them. Kontimo did not tell me where I carry my children go. Why the other 2 small ones with them. And I was inside while the other 4 army, they are using me mercilessly. And I was pregnant 7 months, 2 weeks. Because of what they did to me, we pulled out the pregnancy. They went away with my 2 children. I've not seen those children up till now. This is the children that they go away with it, which is still paining me than any other thing. Because up till now, I've not seen the score of these children. I'm only feeding by God's grace. I only feed by people that they have sympathy on me. People that they help me when they see my condition, they started helping me. Churches to do help me. I passed through something. Because if the children, if to say they are alive today, I couldn't have been begging food. I couldn't have been begging people's money to take feed. It is only by God's grace that keep me.